Alright guys, I've been having a ton of technical difficulties, so I'm filming this on my iPad. Um, I might have to break out my phone or just keep doing things like this on this format. I know the quality is a lot lower on this camera, but for some reason my phone won't take any more data. It keeps saying it's almost full when it's not, when it shouldn't be. I deleted a few apps, and for some reason it says that it won't. Anyway, I'll get into that with today's video. This is yesterday's video. I'm going to try to see if I can get my opening clips in, but if I can't, a quick recap is that I have on my phone. The quick recap is that I went to a Mafia party yesterday, and I was on TV. I had a clip that showed me watching and talking about the fact that it was cool I could see myself. But just really quickly, because it's the sixth time I'm trying to record this, I was on TV, I was on Impact Wrestling, I was wearing this hat while I was there, and you can see me during most of the show. There were 3 segments, 3 matches that they filmed previously that they included in this episode. So during those 3 matches you won't see me, but the rest of the time, whenever they do a closer shot straight on the ring, you can see me slightly off center to the left. Excuse me. So there's that. So I'll be again on next week's episode, next Wednesday, 9 o'clock on Destination America. Check it out if you want to find me. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see myself on TV like that. Then now to the Mafia, the meat of the video. And this is the this is the 6th time I've gone over this. So this video might be shorter just because I've been trying to go through it fast. So basically, we played 4 games of Mafia. The first game we played was a very bare bones version of the game. We had 3 Mafia and a consigliere, a potential 4th Mafia that can join and become Mafia whenever he wants, and he's innocent until then, so we're only at 3 until then. 1 cop, 1 nurse. We just randomly choose someone. After the first night, someone was killed, and so we randomly choose someone, and we choose this one guy, and it turns out that once we kill him, we see that he's the consigliere. So, potential Mafia, gone. Only the 3 regular Mafia left. Josh is the cop, so he starts investigating people, and everyone he investigates he finds innocent. He gets down to the point where there's only 4 people left. We've done some eliminations and other things like that. So it's gotten to the point where there's only 4 people left, and he hasn't found any Mafia. So 3 of those 4 people are Mafia. There are no special Mafia roles, so we know for sure that anyone who's innocent is innocent. So of those 4, we choose one. The town lynches him. Turns out he is Mafia. Success. Then Josh, that night, Josh, as the cop, investigates one of the remaining 3, and turns out he's innocent as well. The Mafia takes out the nurse, and Josh has come out as the cop, so he's now vulnerable because the nurse is gone. Because the nurse didn't save himself, the nurse saved the cop. And so the nurse was killed, but they didn't know he was the nurse, it was just a lucky guess. So we take out one of the Mafia, because we know for sure this guy's cleared, so it's the last 2 people that are left that haven't been checked are both definitely Mafia. So we take out the one, we go to bed, Mafia takes out Josh. We already know who the last Mafia is. We take him out, we win. Town wins. Yay. I was Town, by the way. So game 1, Town wins. I have 1 win. I'm on the winning team 1 time. Next game, we do a big game because people had shown up, and it was raining outside, so we couldn't break into smaller groups, really. So we did one big game of about 20 people, maybe more, maybe a little. I think maybe a little more. I get Framer, which is a Mafia. Josh turns out to be the nurse this time around. So every game he played, he had a role, and a good guy role. Cop, nurse. In the 3rd game, he's going to be the nurse as well. So anyway, he's a nurse, but he quickly, fairly quickly, people suspect him. So they think it's Josh. And so Josh's defense, rather than coming out, and if he'd played with us before, he would know he could just say, I'm the nurse, and everyone would back off. But instead, he says, I like to help people, not hurt people. And people translate that into, that's a terrible defense, and Josh is Mafia. And so everyone votes for him, but I don't vote for him because I know he's innocent. I'm trying to play like a townsperson. As a townsperson, I would not vote for him because I think he's innocent. And I couldn't relay or convince that of anyone. Like, no, he's innocent, don't do it. Which is what I was hoping I could do to throw any suspicion off myself of being Mafia. But everyone was just like, nope, he's Mafia, vote for him. It was like all unanimous. But one person realized I didn't vote, called me out, and before I could defend myself, we had to go to sleep. Apparently that was enough for Batman, because before I was able to wake up and give my defense, I was immediately told I was killed. And since I was Mafia, I knew Mafia didn't do it, so I knew Batman did it. So Batman killed Mafia successfully. But we weren't revealing our roles when we wake up like we normally do. We also didn't have any idea how many of anything there were. How many Mafia, how many cops, how many nurses, how many anything. So it turned out there were two in that game. That turned out there were two consigliaries that were both eliminated early. Once we were out of the game, we shared among each other what we were. I was taken out by Batman. So then we decided once we had enough people, we would start a game upstairs. So, started a game upstairs, just bare minimum rules again. We had 2 Mafia and a consigliere, potential 3rd Mafia. 1 cop, 1 nurse. Josh was the nurse. I was the first person taken out by the Mafia. Turns out the consigliere activated himself either on the 1st or the 2nd round, making 3 Mafia for the rest of the game. But that one of the Mafia was killed early on as well. We had about 4 people out of the match, and then they came up, they said the match was over, town won. Since I was Mafia, that meant I lost, so I was 1-1. And they're going to start a game outside, so anyone who wants to be a part of that game needs to come down and go do that. So the 1 Mafia goes down, I go down, the other 2 people that were random townspeople that died went down as well. And we started game number 4. Or we tried to start game number 4. Before we started, another Mafia came down from the game upstairs. And then the last Mafia comes down. We know the game's over. We're about to become full again, and we don't want the game to be that long, so we quickly start the game before the people who take their time can come down and join the game. So those few people have to stand around and basically watch the whole game. That included Josh, who wound up leaving after a few minutes of watching. He watched for a little while, but anyway. So then the game was going on. I was the governor, and I wound up going down to the final 4, and there was 1 Mafia left and 4 town. I was governor. My role means that I can pardon someone for being lynched if I think they're innocent. That never came up. I never needed to use my role as anything more than a normal townsperson. We got the Mafia. Town wins. And I'm among the final 4. The final 3 in the game. The last 3 town left. So yay. And then game number 5. And this is the interesting game. The one I'm going to talk about. I'm the gunsmith in this round. In this game. Which is on the side of the town. What I do is I make a gun, and I give it to anyone in the town. So I give it to this one person kind of randomly the first night. I want to see what he'll do with it. What kind of player he'll go with it. If he holds on to it, then he probably won't get another one. Someone else will get one. If he uses it, and he uses it well, I'll give it back to him. If he uses it poorly, I won't give him another gun. That's what I'm thinking. So the cop immediately comes forward, says that they investigated and found guilty someone. But because this person was a good player of that, and all of us know that she's a good player, there's a very good chance she was framed to try to get her taken out of the game. Anyway, so we vote, and we decide to spare her because we're not sure, and for some reason we're being very timid in the first round of the game this time. I don't know why we were. So we decided to wait, let the cop investigate her again because she can't be framed twice. But the cop was in danger, could have been in danger of being silenced. Turns out there wasn't a silencer in the game, but then they added a silencer to the game later. I don't know what happened there, but for some reason the cop did not get silenced like she thought she would. The nurse, maybe she did. It didn't matter, because this is what happened. Right after we spared this person, the guy I gave the gun to decided he wasn't convinced, and so he just straight up, he said, "Bang, and you are dead. That's the way it works. You point, bang, dead. If they have a gun, they can do that. Usually it makes them be suspicious. But turns out she was in fact the framer. She was not framed. She was the framer, and she was now dead. We'd killed the Mafia. Next up was going to bed. So before we went to bed, the cop said, "Nurse, save me. Gunsmith, give me a gun." And that might make sense normally. It definitely does for the nurse to save them. I decide that I'm going to give it to the same person again because I liked what happened, and he wasn't being too conservative with the gun, and so we'd see what would happen. So I give him the gun again. The nurse, however, doesn't save the cops, but instead saves himself, or someone else, probably himself, though. And we're like, what happened? Because the next morning, turns out Batman struck, and the Mafia struck, and they each killed one of the two cops. In the same round, boom, cops are gone. No more cops in this game. We're like, no! So wrong. So everyone's mad at the nurse for not saving the cop. But anyway, we get ourselves back on track after a little bit of a detour. We investigate someone, and then the guy with the gun decides, I think you're Mafia. Bang! And he kills this one person. And it turns out she was Mafia. She was the Yakuza. So we're like, yes! Super score, because the Yakuza can turn someone else Mafia. It turned out later on we found out there were two Yakuza in this game because we didn't know how many there were. But in this game we were revealing what we were when we died. So we found out that the two cops died, and we found out two of the Mafia were dead. And we knew that there were 4 Mafia total. So that meant there was one Mafia left, one regular Mafia left, and an arsonist left, who was part of the Mafia but not a direct part of the Mafia. But we know there's 4 Mafia. So we know there's 2 Mafia left. And so I give him the gun again. The Mafia figure it out. They kill him. My gun is wasted. Then everyone suspects me. So I have to come forward and say, I'm the gunsmith. I've been indirectly responsible for 2 of the Mafia being killed. And if you lynch me now, then that's that. But if you don't lynch me, the Mafia will probably kill me. But I can get one more gun out there before that happens. So they're like, okay, that makes sense. So I turned to the person to my right, who's usually someone I confide in a lot during the game, and I said, I'm the gunsmith. And he said, give me the gun when we go to sleep, and I'll believe you. And so then, before we go to sleep, I turn to Jesse, who's on my left, and I tell, because he went to the party with me as well, Josh and Jesse both. And I mentioned this in my other clip, but if it doesn't get on because I have to upload it on here, then that's that. Anyway, so I tell Jesse I'm gonna give him the gun, the guy on the other side of me. So keep an eye on him. When I get killed by the Mafia, if he does something weird, he's probably Mafia. So watch him. Instead of me being killed, he was killed. They decided that they were going to try to get the guy who I gave the gun to, and they didn't know who it was. But I was setting Jesse up, possibly, to be Mafia if he died, because he's the only one I told was going to give the gun to. So Jesse seemed suspicious in my mind at that point. We had 2 people come out and say they were Batman, and we weren't sure which one they were. So we never got to another night, so I didn't get to give out another gun. There was a Yakuza. We didn't know it was a Yakuza. We thought it was just a regular Mafia, maybe, or probably. We had a Batman, but we were one of the 2 Batman, and then 2 innocent townspeople is what we knew, and the arsonist. And so the arsonist was claiming to be Batman, and Batman was claiming to be Batman, but Batman wasn't answering the questions the way we needed her to. And so we couldn't get her to convince us that she was Batman for sure, because she wasn't saying things that we needed her to say. So we wound up taking her out. 2 Mafia, 2 town, game over, Mafia wins. And it was close, and I almost went the other way and went after the other Batman, which was the arsonist, and that would have changed things up. I also almost got them to wait and just go to sleep and see what would happen, which if it was a regular Mafia, we could have won if we'd done that, because Batman could have killed Mafia, and probably would have killed Mafia, I think, and the Mafia would probably have killed Batman. So then that would have been 2 town, 1 mafia, and we would have then taken out the mafia and won. But didn't happen. Mafia won, and that's that. Game ended. Game number 5. I went. I won the first game as town. I lost the second game as mafia. I won the third game as town. I won the fourth game as town. I lost the fifth game as town. So I was 3-2. Pretty good record for Mafia Nights. So I'm gonna close out this vlog here. Hopefully, hopefully I'm able to get the other 2 clips in, and we can see a full length. It should still be below 20 minutes if that happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn over here and say that for myself and my VIP lounge over here. Good night, everyone. Yeah, camera's over here. And I'll see you tomorrow. Or today. Later. Bye.